Warning, this product contains extreme nostalgia. Does your job got you down? Is adulting not as fun as you thought it would be? Do you want a way to recapture that happiness from when you were a kid? At Retrostalgia Box, you feel like a kid again. Comics, toys, and video games hand-curated from the past and straight to your door. Unbox happiness at retrostalgiabox.com. Once again, that's retrostalgiabox.com. Yeah! Have you ever engaged in a serious debate over which is better, Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings? Have you ever played Smash or Pass using only characters from Star Wars and Marvel movies? If you answered yes to any of these questions, we have the podcast for you. Listen to The Steam Gentleman, the podcast where an expert panel convenes to ask the questions about pop culture and social commentary that other podcasts are afraid to ask. Listen to The Steam Gentleman on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Real World Chronicles. I'm your host, Brad Drake, and this is All Elite Wrestling. Everybody, we have an exciting, action-packed show today as we record Dark Elevation. Now, as you know, we used to do 2 shows in one go, but now with the added segments, we're just going to do 1 per show because they're hitting around the 25, 30-minute mark. Now, on top of Dark Elevation, I have done something really exciting since the last show, and I'm going to show you after. I don't think I'm going to be able to show you today because we're going to go from Dark Elevation over to Dark. Well, let's see how things play out here, everybody. All right, we are running the Mid-Atlantic region. We are running the Benton Convention Center in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And as you notice, I am bouncing around from region to region to try to maximize as much popularity for our wrestlers as possible. Again, we've added 2 additional segments, which makes our shows go longer. And by shows, I mean our YouTube show here. And let's take a look at who's going to be on the card for tonight for Elevation. Brody King is going to be in singles action. Eddie Kingston and Ortiz will be in tag team action. Daniel Garcia will be in singles action. Billy Gunn is going to be in a 6-man tag with the Acclaimed. We're going to see Matt Hardy in singles action. The Butcher and the Blade will be in tag team action. And in our main event, everybody, JD Drake is going to face Samoa Joe for that World Television title. We're also going to see a lot of promos. Matt Hardy's going to cut a promo. Bryan Danielson will cut a promo. Britt Baker will be on the mic here doing a promo. Chris Jericho will do a promo, and we'll also see a promo by Samoa Joe. So we're doing what we can to keep our storylines alive and active and almost make Elevation Dark and the other 2 Dark shows. They're almost like must-see TV for true fans. And remember, they are all available on Honor Club in this save. All right, everybody, with all of that said, let's get to booking, but not just yet, because we have to go through our backstage incidents. All right, Brody King and Sting. Sting was mad at Brody King, and he said, "You will buy drinks for everybody after the show," even though more than probably 90% of the locker room does not drink. All right, and Danielson is giving some protege tips over to Jade Cargill, who actually spends most of her time in Women of Honor. All right, so now we can go ahead and get to booking. All right, our opener is Tim, and that's his name, Tim. It's in capitals, so I yell it out. And he is wrestling Brody King in our opener. So here he is. Here is Tim. And I kill me. I'm the funniest person I know. Here's Brody King. All right, and Brody King is going to get the victory, of course. And now we're setting up for, I think, 2 promos in a row here. We are. Matt Hardy is going to cut a promo. Matt Hardy is past his prime, everybody. And he is not what he was even just a few years ago, but he is still serviceable. Matt Hardy is still a good athlete and can still go in the ring. And to me, he's still serviceable for AEW, and I can't wait for Jeff Hardy to come back. We're going to finally give the AEW fans what they want with some super matches with the Hardy brothers. All right, or the Hardy boys, however you want to pronounce them. Okay, we're going to have Matt Hardy, and he is going to talk with... We're going to go ahead and use Tony Schiavone again. Why not? And he doesn't really have anybody to talk about or talk... Yeah, he's just going to cut a promo. All right, so that one is all set. Up next, our next promo is going to be Bryan Danielson. And of course, Bryan Danielson is in that hot feud with MJF. So here we go. Bryan Danielson cuts a promo on MJF. Now, in real life, everybody, for these kind of shows, these would all be pre-tapes. And that's the way I treat them. Every once in a while, maybe we'll have a wrestler attack somebody in the ring or something like that. But all these promos are pre-tapes and would be put into the show. All right, so Danielson is talking to Schiavone, and he is talking about none other than MJF. Since I'm not going to be able to show you, I don't think, on this episode, I will talk about it. We have created another developmental company. Now, I think an untapped market in pro wrestling that WWE tried to get into, it really didn't work out. But AEW actually has some people on the roster with experience, successful experience running in the country of India. So we have set up, we have rebirthed Global Force Wrestling in India, and Jeff Jarrett is going to run the operation for us. Now, why Jeff Jarrett? That's because about 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, Jeff Jarrett, Sanjay Dutt, and a couple others actually ran a pretty successful series of television tapings in India. They did well. I don't exactly know why it fell apart in the end. I think what hurt them is they ended up splitting up the tapings and were running them on different networks, and it hurt their overall numbers. But the man's got experience in India. So we have revived Global Force Wrestling with Jeff Jarrett at the helm. And it's just going to be another way for us to get our wrestlers experience. And not only that, but to get into an untapped market in India. It could fail. It could fail miserably. But I thought it was a cool thing to give a shot here in the save. And why not, right? Like I said, when I originally started this, this save, we're going to do things realistically, and we're also going to do things fantasy. And that's one of the things that we're going to do fantasy. All right, so Danielson's promo is in the books, and I'll show you all that when I get the chance to. It's not going to be on this show. We should be able to do it after tomorrow's show. Okay, we have Everett and Kaye versus Kingston and Ortiz. Now, some of you are young viewers to this show. You may have been born past the 80s, maybe into the 90s, or even into the 2000s. And you probably don't understand what I'm doing here or why I'm doing it. We are running shows with just squash matches. And some of you may not understand why and just think that that's crappy wrestling. Well, it is kind of crappy wrestling, but this also was a successful formula for pro wrestling for about 35, 40 years, all before Raw launched. And most of your television shows on TV for pro wrestling were squash matches. And that just made these wrestlers look fantastic and attracted interest to these wrestlers. Made them look like they were unbeatable. So when the tour came to your town, you couldn't wait to buy a ticket to see these two wrestlers, these two tag teams that have been built up on television, finally meet each other in the ring. So that's the old school mentality that we're using for these B shows. And it's, B shows obviously in TEW 2020 limit the exposure, but the wrestlers are still getting the popularity boosts from these shows. So they're still getting the popularity boost just like they would running an event in a local market. So it's still a win. All right, so here we go. We have Oliver Grimsley, and he is going to wrestle Daniel Garcia. Again, a guy I think needs a lot of work. I don't quite see what they like about Daniel Garcia, but I'm trying. He's a decent athlete. He's another one that's very young. I think he needs to learn how to wrestle properly. The structure and flow of his matches fail when he's not guided by a better veteran. But I think he could turn out to be a decent wrestler. We just had a guy that we booked on the show here, Adam Everett. Adam Everett was a guy that I had a lot of hopes for in Ring of Honor a few years ago, and things just didn't work out for him. But I wouldn't say that Daniel Garcia was any better than what Adam Everett was. But that's just the way it goes, everybody. All right, we have a big six-man tag here. That's right, it's a six-man tag. We got some big dudes here. Zane Dawson and Sean Studd are in the match. I think Sean Studd is the son of Big John Studd. I could be wrong. So we have Dawson, Dawson, Lude, and Studd versus Gunn and the Acclaimed. Okay, so got to look up these names. This is a rare six-man tag. We're doing Zane Dawson. He's a big boy. And we have Lance Lude. It's a hell of a last name. It'd be cool if he called it Lude. Lance Lude. Look at that look. I'm not even going to book the guy in real life just based on his stupid look. But that's just me. All right, and then we have Sean Studd, who, is he the son? He is the son of Big John Studd. Okay, so here is Sean Studd. Big dude, I don't know why they have him listed as a super heavyweight. I don't think he's any bigger than his dad was. In fact, I saw a recent picture of him standing next to Andre the Giant's daughter, and he didn't look like he was over 6'3" or 6'4". But again, I could be wrong. All right, we are going to see Billy Gunn here with the Acclaimed. And this is a good thing AEW has going as of the time of recording the show. The Acclaimed is starting to fizzle off. They've lost the World Tag Team title in the real world, and I think they're dropping the ball on what they had going with Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed. But that's just my opinion. Maybe that's by the time this airs, maybe they've corrected that wrong. All right, we are going to give the win here to Billy Gunn because why not, right? 3 versus 3 enhancement. This one's in the books. Okay, up next, we are going to have a Britt Baker promo, and you can guarantee that it will most likely be outstanding. So here we go. Britt Baker cuts a promo. And of course, she's going to be cutting that promo on the woman that she's in that heated feud with. And that is none other than Saraya, or as I like to call her, Boring Saraya. We got to change this up. She is talking to Tony Schiavone, and she is talking about Saraya. All right, Saraya's off screen. This one's all set. Ready to rock and roll and hoochie coo. So here we go. Chance Prophet and Matt Hardy up next. Here we go. Prophet versus Hardy. You know, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I was never the biggest of fans of the Hardy Boys as single wrestlers. I always preferred them as a tag team. But obviously in this situation, we can use Matt Hardy as a singles wrestler due to the fact that his brother is in rehab for the probably realistically 6th or 7th time. But let me tell you something. If it gets the man straight and he's okay afterwards, bless him. Sometimes it takes a long, long time for it to finally stick. All right, here we go. Chris Jericho is going to cut a promo, and he's engaged in that feud with Ricky Starks. And here we go. Here is Chris Jericho talking to Tony Schiavone. He's talking about that Ricky Starks. All right, there we go. Entertainment. Starks is off screen. This one's booked. up next here we have Elliot, Russell, and Gunner against the Butcher and the Blade. So Gunner and Russell versus the Butcher and the Blade. I didn't know that the Blade was Pepper Perks. I just learned that not too long ago. All right, here is Gunner, the one-man name. And he's another one's a pretty big dude. And here is Elliot, Russell. Everybody's got long hair and a beard. You know what? Everybody looks the same for the most part. Everybody has to have a beard nowadays. Here's the Butcher and the Blade. In fact, we might be hard-pressed to find a wrestler that doesn't have facial hair, except for Chris Jericho. All right, we're going to have the Butcher get the win here. There he is. The Butcher gets the win for his team. This one's in the books. Up next here, we have Samoa Joe cutting a promo. In real life, Samoa Joe cuts real promos, but I think they have him underrated in this game. And I am enjoying having Samoa Joe as the unified World Television Champion here. I've always thought very highly of Samoa Joe. And even in his 40s here, he is still really good. All right, this one's booked. And our main event is going to see J.D. Drake. No relation, everybody. No relation. Versus Samoa Joe for that coveted World Television title. I'm glad I changed the name because I thought calling it after a TV channel was a stupid name for a title. We got that straightened out. Why would you limit it to just be for one television station? We're going to have a multitude of television stations showing your product. To me, it doesn't make much sense. All right, here is Samoa Joe. And Samoa Joe will get the victory over the big boy here. And J.D. Drake is a big man, but he is no match for the craftiness and swiftness of one Samoa Joe. And I accidentally clicked World Tag Team title. We got that straightened out. Here we go. The World Television title is on the line. All right, we're ready to rock here, everybody. Let's go ahead and start the show and see how we do. All right, Tim versus King. They get a 40. That's a nice score. And Brody King gets the win with the Gonzo Bomb. Up next here, Matt Hardy gets a nice 81 promo here. Terrific. With Tony Schiavone. And we're going to move right along. Lots of green on that one equals lots of money. Look at this. We got another nice number here for our promo. And this is because we're in Mid-Atlantic where these men's popularity is probably a little bit higher. And 82 overall. Excellent. Lots of green. Green equals money. Kingston and Ortiz get the win over Andrew Everett and Nicholas Kaye. And we get a 45 overall. Kingston and Ortiz get a 59 each. Respectable. Good stuff. Daniel Garcia wins with the sharpshooter over Oliver Grimsley. Could also be called the Indian Deathlock or the Scorpion Deathlock, but maybe you can't call things an Indian Deathlock anymore. That's possible. All right, up next here, we have Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed. And Billy Gunn gets the win with the Famouser. And 37 overall. And Billy Gunn still gets a 40 at nearly 60 years old here. Good stuff. And the winning ways of the Acclaimed continue. All right, Britt Baker gets a 78 here in her promo. Lots of green. Green equals money. And she cuts it on Saraya, and it gains heat. All right, Chance Prophet and Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy gets the win with the Twist of Fate. Chris Jericho cuts his promo and only gets a 69 here with Schiavone, but what are you going to do, everybody? All right, up next here, we have Gunner and Elliot Russell, and they're mixing it up here with the Butcher and the Blade. And the Butcher and Blade get the win with the Flaming Yawn. 38 for this one. Lots of green, but a little bit of red text of doom. What are you going to do? You can't have it all, everybody. Samoa Joe gets a 66 promo here with Tony Schiavone. Good stuff. Eventually, we're going to put him in some kind of feud. I just haven't decided what kind of feud we're going to put him in yet. But I do like him as the monstrous heel TV champion. All right, our main event gets a whopping 54. I didn't expect much more with J.D. Drake in there against Samoa Joe. And it's Samoa Joe may be another one that's criminally underrated in the game. But who am I to argue, right? All right, we're going to finish this one up. We get a 63 overall, which is actually a nice score for a B show, no doubt about it. And we're going to finish this one up. It's going to take us over to the tapings for Dark. So, we are going to quit our show there, everybody. We'll be back in action for Dark tomorrow. And for those of you who are interested in my 1987 Supermod, the 1987 Supermod, you can find it over on patreon.com/PowerCast Network. You'd also find videos like the AEW videos early and YouTube ad-free. You can also find all of our spreadsheets there. And we also have a nice little community of people and a lot of other fun stuff that's posted over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/PowerCast Network. Don't forget, you can find us on social media, facebook.com/groups/1987 Supermod. You can also find us over on Reddit under the subreddit of TEW 2020 Friends. And don't forget, we're also on Discord. You can find us on 1987 Supermod. Last but not least, for those of you that may be new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave us a message below. Let us know how you found the channel and what you think of it so far. Thanks again, everybody. We'll be back in action again tomorrow with more All Elite Wrestling.